Let's talk about NAR settlement and what changes those are going to bring in July. So these are all proposed. Nothing is actually agreed on yet or finalized yet. I think there is some agreement, but nothing is finalized yet. So there could be more changes. However, we're going to go over what we think is going to be the case come late summer. Okay. And they're already putting a lot of this stuff into play. So this is just a guideline to kind of bring you up to date, let you know what's going on in our industry, and as a consumer, what you can expect. So some buyer changes that are going to be happening. So cooperation is being moved. This is the biggest thing, is cooperation is being moved outside of the MLS. So previously, the sellers would offer a buyer compensation for the buyers, which would in turn help with bringing buyers to the property and helping mitigate that transaction, and also trying to keep everyone out of the courts. That's what the reason that cooperation was brought around, was because there was so many court issues of disagreements between buyers and sellers. And so this really alleviated that. But now the time has come to make a change to that as well, which I think will benefit everybody in the future. It's just going to be a little bit messy navigating through that for a minute. So that's what this video is going to really help you do. Once again, buyer changes. Here's what you can expect. So the buyer must have a written representation agreement. All right. They must have one before any doors are open. So you need to pick your agents wisely. Just scheduling from something on the internet and having the agent meet you out there, that may not be the best agent to represent you, and you may be paying out of pocket. So you want to make sure that your agent's qualified. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Buyer broker compensation cannot be listed in the MLS, which means agents are going to have to come and find out beforehand. If you, as a buyer, you don't have the funds to pay for your agent fees, then you're going to have to make sure that the property that you're looking at is offering that compensation, and then it gets negotiated into the contract. So buyer broker compensation will need to be negotiated on each deal, either into the contract or part of the buyer closing costs. So you're going to want to make sure that you've got an agent who can negotiate on your behalf. Seller changes. So some seller changes coming up. Once again, we cannot put that cooperation compensation into the MLS. However, studies have shown that offer compensation to buyer brokers increases your exposure and attracts more favorable offers on your property. All right. So buyer broker compensation can be offered in the MLS as concessions to the buyer to pay those expenses, or they can be negotiated into the contract. Compensation can be marketed outside of the MLS, just not in the MLS. So any marketing done on outside websites or marketing efforts can show that a buyer agent compensation is going to be offered, which could in turn attract more agents and buyers. Okay. So capitalism is about to shine because we have some creative changes coming to our industry, and you're going to see a lot of different options. So you're really going to want to look through those. It may get a little bit messy. I would assume it's going to get a little bit messy for a minute before the dust settles and new norms settle in. Okay. But some changes that you could possibly be looking for. So negotiated compensation terms on each offer. So each offer is going to be allowed to negotiate that buyer compensation because it is no longer a promised cooperation in the MLS. Previously, that could not be negotiated. If a house was offering 3%, doesn't matter what the offer price is or who it's sold to, anything, the 3% was paid to the buyer's agent. Okay, and it had to be. Now, because it's not listed in the MLS, it is going to need to be negotiated on each contract. All right. Flat fee services. So you're going to start seeing flat fees. So some flat fees for services, but make sure your services are that it's a full spectrum service, or, it's going to actually cover and benefit you. Sometimes cutting corners, just like we all know, sometimes cutting corners is going to cost you more money. All right. Retainers and prepaid service options. So you may see retainers if a buyer's agent, they may start saying, I need a retainer in order to show houses because they're not promised pay anymore like they were previously. Probably going to start seeing menus of service or a la carte options. So that's going to be a scope of services and their fees that are associated with those services. Different types of buyer representation agreements are going to start rolling out. So you'll see a variety of those as well. make sure you review them, that they're actually covering the scope of service that you are needing. And I think one of the biggest changes that's coming is that there's going to be more conversation about compensation. It just was not talked about before. Once again, because of the cooperation in the MLS, the buyer's agents were pretty much guaranteed whatever was offered in the MLS. All right. So as long as there was a deal, that amount was going to be offered to the buyer at closing. That has changed. That's what's changing. So that's going to be negotiated on each one. So you're going to want to make sure that you have that conversation with your buyer's agent and your seller's agent to make sure to see how that's going to get paid and how that's going to work out, and if they're going to negotiate it in the contract or if they expect you to pay it at closing. So more of those conversations are going to be taking place, which is a good thing on both ends. Hiring an agent. My best advice is to interview and ensure your agent is the best one for you and what you're looking to do. Okay, so here's some tips. How well does your agent negotiate on your behalf? Do they have special training and negotiations? What is their experience and track record with negotiations? What is their experience with transactions like yours? Do they have similar situations in the past? Is it residential? Is it commercial? Is it leasing? What is it? Is it farm and ranch, investment properties? Do they have experience in that to get you the most amount of money in return or save you the most amount of money if you're looking to purchase? Are they a full-time agent or a hobby agent? Of course, we all know that there's a part-time agents. I'm an advocate for full-time agents. If you're looking for somebody who is doing this multiple times a year, this is a career. It is not a hobby. Make sure that you're picking your agents wisely when it comes to that. What level of education or training do they have? This is going to fall back into the hobby, all right? So look at their education. They have resumes. They have a list of all their classes and training. Ask them for it, okay? Ask them for it. Are they showing you these things? Do they have designations or specialized training? So designations, we have designations as something that our industry offers for the agents who go out and spend the time and money to get specialized training. So for instance, negotiation. I'm a master certified negotiation expert, which MCNE is a designation. It's the one I'm most proud of. It was a lot of training to get that one. GRI is also a great one. That's Graduate Realtor Institute. Exceptional training. And so that designation is earned there. MRP, Military Relocation Professional. SFR, Short Sale Foreclosure Resource. So there's different ones that can come back and help with getting your transaction done with the most efficiency with that specialized training. What tools and services are they going to be offering you in your agreement? So all realtors have a variety of tools that they use and communication techniques and different things. So make sure, once again, that you're doing your research on the agents. My best advice coming back to the interviews, interview, at least 3. See which one you mesh with. You're going to be working really closely with this person. So make sure that you get along, make sure that they are great transactionally, and make sure that they have the experience that you're looking for. So those are the things that you're really going to be looking for when you're looking for an agent. Last but not least, let's talk about how agents get paid. Like I said, we're going to be having more conversations around this. So here's just a broad example. This is not based off of anything in particular. I just kind of went in general, and this is going to be, it's kind of mixed because this is going to be for seller and buyer sides. Of course, expenses are going to be different. Buyer agents spend more time in regards to driving around, viewing houses, making phone calls, all of that stuff. Listing agents are going to spend more money on the presentation of the property, the marketing of the property, the pictures of the property. So there's different expenses that you're going to see on both sides. And so this is going to break down how an agent gets paid. And let's say this is a $300,000 property. The fees that they're going to have, of course, marketing and expenses. We've got association fees. We've got taxes. Can't get away from that. Broker fees and actual agent pay. So you can see the breakdown, and that's a 3%. Like I said, you're going to see a variety of different things. So if a buyer's agent is charging 3%, this is how the breakdown would look. If a seller's agent is charging 3%, also how the breakdown is going to look. Now remember, most agents are working with these clients for multiple months. This is not a quick thing. In most cases, it's the biggest expense of most people's life, or biggest transaction in regards to money, financial. that people are making. So you really want to make sure you've got somebody on your side who is going to make sure that your transaction is taken care of and taken care of well. So those are the changes that we see coming. As we get more information, we are going to be sharing that. Of course, one of the biggest concerns is our VA buyers, because according to VA, right now they cannot pay any buyer broker compensation. If you're a VA buyer, make sure you have an agent qualified on your side to make sure that you are not owing extra money at closing. Okay? Y'all have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, please let me know.